political candidates. Once again, I'm trying to figure out how is there not a problem? And Grassley saying, well, he's got to prove that he's willing to do that. Well, duh. Seems kind of obvious.
Yeah. Well, they're going to say it wasn't, election interference in 2016 because he won. How could it be interference if he won?
Well, it was either way. That's what they're going to say. Well, it was election interference because they tried to make sure he didn't win. They're trying to make sure Trump didn't win. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. And when you talk about the deep state, that's why people are like, but wait a minute, that was in 2018 or the whole Hunter Biden. They're like, well, in 2020, that was his DOJ. No, there were a lot of people, and once again, this is where we start talking about the deep state. The deep state is nothing more than these bureaucrats who are there. They're there beyond administrations who think that they have more power and think that they have more right to do what they want than what the commander-in-chief tells them they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And now that Trump's putting loyalists in all these positions rather than career politicians, you'll see a difference this time.
All right, we have Karen Putman Carrigan over on Facebook is basically saying she's wondering, well, will he actually get voted in? I think he will. I think that he's going to go. If you look at how Donald Trump is getting behind Patel, the way he didn't get behind Gates, I think that he's going to push this thing through. He's going to put the pedal to the metal, and he's going to demand that they make this happen.
Yes, I agree. So I agree as well.
I think even more than the attorney general. I mean, I know that the attorney general there from Florida, Bondi. I think even more than her, I think Patel has a better shot even than she does in terms of Trump going to bat for him.
Oh yeah, and Pam Bondi shouldn't be that big of an issue. I mean, she was the attorney general here in Florida, so they can't say that she's not qualified. There's nothing there. Him, they're gonna like you say, they're gonna cry out loud. Well, he's got no FBI or law enforcement experience. He was a DOJ prosecutor. Guess what?
Right.
That's law enforcement experience.
There you go. Problem solved. I think Bondi's going to take a little bit of heat for some of the gun stuff, but other than that, I think she's going to sail through.
I think she'll be fine. Like we talked about before, it was during what the interview has her talking about and supporting is not the final bill that passed. So once that comes to light, she'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a plan. By the way, speaking of selective prosecutions, how about the Biden-Harris? And by the way, a lot of people think that it was only DOJ that was going after political enemies. Well, guess what? It was also the Department of Education. There was a study that was done. And in this study, the report showed that 70% of Biden administration's education enforcement targeted Christian and career colleges. Now, mind you, they only make up 10% of all schools. So it says here, a report showed that nearly 70% of enforcement actions executed by the Biden administration's education department targeted faith-based and career schools. According to a press release published by the American Principles Project, they drew on newly obtained data, finding nearly 70% of the Department of Education's enforcement actions dealt with faith-based and career schools, even though these schools represent less than 10% of the U.S. APP Policy Director John Schwepp said Democrats have been busy weaponizing every part of the federal government to target their opponents over the last 4 years. While major assaults from agencies like the Department of Justice have taken most of the headlines, we should not ignore similarly corrupt efforts in other agencies as well, Schwepp said. And that's what he's pointing to here. He's pointing to the fact that they're basically going after schools for things like marketing and advertising, even though a lot of these universities are not getting any support from the federal government, but they're going after, they're falsely advertising. And what they're doing is, by the way, none of these things are resulting in actual civil or criminal actions. What it's doing is it's requiring a lot of lawyers' time and a lot of lawyer money that's taken away from direct classroom instruction.
Yeah, absolutely right. And when you look at the numbers of this too, Craig. I mean, this wasn't like and this is what they're going to argue, right? That they went after everybody and they were trying to make sure everybody paid attention to the woke ideology and the DEI nonsense that they were pushing down. Um, the Christian schools make up something like 10% of total schools. Christian colleges and schools make up like 10% of the total colleges in the country. Yet they received 75% of the attention from DOE going after them to enforce these restrictions.
Well,
Fines, millions of dollars in fines.
Well, and Mike, you know what's a trip about that is that you literally have schools, for example, in Baltimore, you have one particular school district where not one student can read, write, or do math at grade level. Think about that.
Yeah.
You have school. Yeah. They're not going after them. They're not focusing on them. You have universities that are graduating, that are spending millions of dollars graduating people in things like trans Marxist basket weaving. I mean,
that's right. Yep.
Giving them full-blown doctorate degrees in these things. And once again, you got to wonder why. You got to wonder what's up. Got to wonder what's going on.
Yep.
Anyway, it is beyond ridiculous what these folks are doing. Once again, in going after these universities. And by the way, these are also schools that they're not promoting wokeness. They're not promoting DEI. They are simply promoting helping people be prepared to have a successful future. And Grand Canyon University, if you listen to some of these Christian universities, they've got, they offer cheaper lower education rates. They have lower percentage of students who are winding up in debt when they graduate from college. Unlike these state universities or some of these Ivy Leagues where people are graduating tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, they're graduating from these Christian universities almost debt-free.
Very true. Very, very true. And well, we could just beat this dead horse. This is again just more of them weaponizing every branch of the government they could against Trump and his supporters.
That right there is exactly what it is. Anyway, moving on to our next story. Open carry sputters in Florida. Now, Florida, also known as the Gunshine State, as we like to refer to it, they've been debating around the idea of open carry. Now, the interesting thing is that open carry actually recently got some support from Ron DeSantis, but it looks like it may run into a bit of a snag. According to the Orlando Sentinel here, it says, wrapping up a recent interview, Governor Ron DeSantis hinted that Florida may soon loosen its gun laws even further, allowing for the open carrying of firearms in public places. Quote, you may get that in this upcoming legislative session, he told host Bob Rose earlier this month. Stay tuned on that. But open carry isn't getting much traction in the Florida legislature, despite Republicans holding supermajority control and DeSantis throwing his support to the issue. One key figure, the new GOP Senate President Ben Albritton, said he isn't on board, pointing to objections he's heard from law enforcement. Gun rights advocates are livid that their priorities are getting resistance in a place that's been dubbed the Gunshine State for its embrace of firearms. Now, Mike, you know a lot more about this because, well, let's be honest, you're in the Gunshine State. Tell me a little bit about what you know about the goings-ons of the open carry debate there in Florida.
So, same as always, Craig. We talked about this before. I think we did the story when the bill first came up, or the idea first came up, that we have rhinos in Florida that don't like guns. They're just against it. One of the reasons we have this going on, I remember Florida in '86 was one of the first states to bring about concealed carry permits and permits to carry. But part of that deal was they got rid of open carry. So it's been, when do the math, you're talking about 2 full generations now since there's been open carry in Florida. Look at all the influx we've had from the northern states to come down here. People are so worried about if somebody's seen open carrying a firearm that it's going to destroy the tourism industry, it's going to promote crime. And these are all lies. We know this from every place that's done this, that the opposite occurs, that you end up getting more polite, more respectful, more law-abiding citizens when this is allowed. You've got Albritton here, who again is worried about his next job rather than his current job, and is not going to be the guy that allows open carry to come to Florida. So this is just, more people pretending to be a conservative, pretending to be a Republican, and they're not.
Well, and part of it also is, and I think that they're pretending to be pro Second Amendment. The challenge is, and it goes back to what I've talked about in the past, and that's that there are some Republicans who are quote unquote law enforcement minded Republicans or law and order minded Republicans, and some that are liberty minded Republicans. And the law and order minded Republicans are more than willing to listen to, or too willing to, take the word of law enforcement, who in some cases, and we're talking the big urban department chiefs who are run by their city councils, the liberal police union heads, who are basically telling them, well, in order to keep people safe, we want to reduce the number of people that are allowed to legally carry guns. In their eyes, anybody who carries a gun that doesn't have a badge is a bad guy. So they want to reduce those numbers. This is not the rank and file law enforcement. This is not some of a lot of the pro-gun sheriffs you'll see out there. But they listen to them because, well, they're not really pro-Second Amendment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. They're Second Amendment butts, right? To steal it from Georgia Carey there. I support the Second Amendment, but not for open carry, or and that sounds so ridiculous. You might as well say I support open carry, but not for minorities. Because that's what they're doing. They're categorizing a whole class of people and taking them out. Law enforcement in this state's been taught, again, for over 2 generations in law enforcement now as well, that anytime you see a gun is bad, because that's what the law is. There's no open carry in Florida. So that's how they respond. And it's going to take a generation, 20 years to get rid of that. Craig, you and I have both been in many locations, many states where open carry is authorized, and you walk around open carry with your firearm on you, with your handgun in a holster, and people come up to you and say, they go, oh man, are those rosewood grips? That's awesome. Hey, what kind of holster is that? I like that holster. That's what they do because it's normal. They're used to it. And they enjoy people being legally armed because it keeps the bad guys away. When the bad guy walks up and he sees victim over there that's clearly has no way to defend himself, and this guy standing in line who's got a firearm strapped to his waist, where do you think he's going to go? Does the lion attack the lion, or do they go after the gazelle? It's that simple. It's an easy formula. Yet this guy wants to argue that, well, we just had a shooting in downtown Orlando where people were killed. Yeah, it was a 17-year-old who illegally had a firearm. You think he might have thought twice if he looked around the street and there were people carrying guns? I think he might have taken a second to look at that and decided not to do it. It's just idiocy that you have there. Oh, well, people will be walking around Disney World with carrying rifles. No, they won't. Disney World has a rule. You can't have a firearm on their property. Let's move on to the next topic, you moron.
Well, exactly. So what's funny is, we got a guy here that's commenting on Facebook, Felix Hunsiker. He's saying open carry is idiotic. He said when the bad guy walks up, his first target is the open carry guy. And the dumb thing, okay. The dumb thing that
we get this all the time, Craig.
Yeah.
We get this. This is the complaint we get all the time.
Right.
Show me. Get on Google. Get it on there and find it. Find where open carriers were attacked or had their firearms taken. There's been 5 incidents in the past 15 years that this occurred. 3 of them, Craig, were people that had a bad holster and their firearm dropped out and somebody stole it. The other 2 got attacked because the bad guy didn't see the firearm. It was on the opposite side. And guess what they ended up doing? Killing the bad guy.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's
Show it to me.
Show it to me. You know what's funny though, Mike, is that people like Felix here talk about that open carry is idiotic. Do you know that from the beginning of the founding of the country, do you realize that concealed carry was what was illegal? Open carry, if you were going to carry a firearm, it had to be in the open. People had to be able to see it.
Yeah,
open
carry is so bad. Tell me why are we not assassinating cops every day for their guns? How come that's not occurring? How come soldiers carry their firearms exposed? Why is that? Why is it? Because it's a clear deterrent for others to go away. I could do you harm.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. And it's called peace through strength. And sometimes the show of strength is just simply showing that you have the ability to defend yourself.
Yeah. If it's not for you, guess what? Don't open carry. We're cool with that. Nobody's forcing you to open or concealed carry. That's up to you. It's your choice to make. And by the way, we're down here in Florida where it's 90 degrees 10 months out of the year. Mm-hmm. All right. It's uncomfortable to carry concealed carry all the time.
So he's responded. So yes, we know the history. No, clearly you don't know the history. The supermarket isn't the place to be carrying your AR. Well, first of all, nobody said you need to. Nobody said you're going to be carrying your AR. Right.
You heard me say
exactly.
Holster, right? Nobody's talking about the idiots that want to carry an SKS into the Starbucks. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the right to carry my personal defense weapon externally if I want to.
Exactly. But once again, people, the left, the anti-gunners always go to the extreme. Like when they talk about, magazine capacity, you notice they always talk about the 100-round drums. But then they want you to only have a magazine that has 5 rounds or 10 rounds. Well, wait a minute. What about standard capacity magazines? I mean, They always go to the extreme because they're trying to make a case that is idiotic. Guys, we've seen what happened when the lowest common denominator open carries. What happens? What happens, Felix? What happens? Go ahead. Supply a link. Tell us something. Tell us something that happens.
In 45 states where open carry is allowed, in the other 45 states where open carry is allowed, that it's mass mayhem and murder every day on the streets? No, it's not.
Well, what's funny is that every place where the right to carry a firearm has been expanded, crime's gone down. Violent crime has gone down. That's what the data shows, that's the part that Felix just doesn't really want. He doesn't want to talk data because data doesn't support his position. But thank you so much, Felix. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you chiming in because you give us an opportunity. You give us the opportunity to debunk some of the myths from the folks out there in the anti-gun community, or at least the anti-open carry community. Anyway,
Felix, thanks for being here. Yeah.
Appreciate you, sir. All right, that's going to bring us over to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Now, the first one here, and by the way, all of our parting shots today are brought to you by the Babylon Bee. Fake news that you can count on. So for those of you out there who are looking to try and get us for mis or disinformation, this is all fake news. We're telling you this is a joke, parody. Ha. Anyway, now the interesting thing was, that when the pardon was actually issued, it wasn't the end. So it's everything through December 1st, 2024. And there were still several hours left in the day. And as a result of that, according to the Babylon Bee, Biden forced to issue another pardon after Hunter commits 17 more crimes.
Very much so. Yep.
Right. Well, now the good news though is that Biden is not. The good thing is that not everybody has pardoned or forgiven Hunter. Santa confirms Hunter Biden still on the naughty list despite presidential pardon.
That's right. Yeah, he's getting a brand new ankle monitor this year, I heard.
And then finally, after saying, well, I'm in this to win it, and I'm going to win this election, and then dropping out of the race. After saying, I'm not gonna pardon my son Hunter, and then pardoning his Hunter. There's a new poll out according to the Babylon Bee, and it says here, America is starting to think this Joe Biden guy might be a liar.
Yeah, maybe so. Could be. Hey, could you imagine him doing this pardon? Like he had to steal a pen, grab his own book, scratch it out, and then mail it to the press and go, look, I did this. Because they're not letting this guy do anything.
No, they are not. By the way, Felix did want to chime in. He says he's anti-open carry, but he's not anti-gun. So I'm assuming, Felix, you support extension of concealed carry and obviously people's ability to own firearms and own the firearms that they desire to own, minus the government permit. Without.
Let me ask this of Felix. Let me ask this of Felix and all those that have the same opinion as Felix. One, do the research, and you'll find out we're not telling you anything crazy. But two, if you support the Second Amendment, then you need to be out there supporting open carry. All right, it's the Second Amendment. It's not we like this part, we don't like this part, we don't like this part, we like that part. That's what we call Democrats and liberals. If you support the Second Amendment, then support open carry. We need you to support open carry. Now, again, nobody's asking you to open carry. but we're asking you to let others have the right to exercise the Second Amendment completely. That's all we want.
There you go. There you go. Okay, well, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the program. But before we go, we got one more thing to do, and you know what that is. We got to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's say hi to Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. If you want a new barrel for your AR rifle or AR pistol, they've got any caliber you desire, any length you desire for your next AR build or rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting that good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, outdoor gear, web gear, paintball gear, you can get anything you want except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
All right, folks, that's going to be it for today. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow. Wow, tomorrow's Tuesday already. Wow, already back. I'm trying to remember. I almost forgot that it's Taco Tuesday. So it's been that long. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Y'all have fun. Stay safe. And if you get a chance, make sure to send a few downrange.